another episode of Cambo Kitchen. Today we're going to learn how to make steak frites. Start off by taking one of your favorite steaks. I like to use ribeye. And you're also going to need a couple russet potatoes. Start by seasoning that steak really well. You need a lot of salt and pepper, guys. It's going to fall off during the cooking process. And if you don't add enough, it's going to taste bland. Season both sides heavily. Salt, pepper. I like to season it like a big pretzel that you'd get at a baseball game. You want to see all that salt and pepper all over. Today I'm going to grill my steak over coals. So in order for the heat to conduct properly, you have to oil your meat. So I add oil, I rub it, and I just let it sit for a minute. This is the firebox on my Lone Star Grillz. Now I let this cook down for about 2 hours until it was just coals, but that's the start of it. I have a nice bed of coals and I have a big piece of oak wood on top. Now let's make the French fries, or frites. Cut off both sides of the potatoes. It's very important to use russet potatoes because they have a high starch content, and that will give you a crispy potato. If you use a Yukon Gold or something with low starch, it's not going to be a very crispy potato. So as you can tell, I'm not shy about wasting. You can save those scraps for a soup or mashed potatoes later if you'd like, but for these potatoes, I want them to be pretty uniform and squared. Now I chose to cut them really large. You can cut them any size you'd like. I kind of like the idea of just having large fries. I think it looks kind of cool. I read it in a book called Happy in the Kitchen by Michelle Richard. Really cool book. So with this technique, what I'm going to do is simmer them in water with a little bit of salt and a little bit of vinegar. What the white vinegar does is prevent the potato from breaking apart too much. It also adds a little bit of flavor, but you only want to add about a teaspoon. So start up your fire and simmer slowly. After about 15 minutes, I use yep, you guessed it, cake tester to make sure that they're tender. I take them out with tongs, and then I just put them on this plate. And as you can see, they're perfectly tender. By simmering them first, when you bite into them, they're solid potatoes. If you just go straight to frying them, then they get a little hollow in the center sometimes. So now what we're going to do is flash fry them. We're going to heat our oil up. I use peanut oil, but you can use canola or grapeseed oil, whatever you like. Heat it up to 400 degrees, and you're going to fry them for 30 to 45 seconds, just very quickly. So once they're fried for about 45 seconds, I remove them from the oil, and they don't have any color, but that's quite all right. Set them somewhere warm and reserve until your steak is fully cooked. Now let's start to cook the steak. The coals have cooked down, as you can see in the background, and throw your steak on there. Now those flames are not good. You don't want big flames burning your steak. So I continuously move the steak from side to side on the grill. I want a lot of color, and I don't want it to catch on fire. A little color is inevitable, but you don't want it to be all black. So just keep on flipping until you get a nice medium rare. The more color you have, the more flavor you have, so don't be shy. Now it's time for our final fry. I heat the oil back up to 400 degrees, and I throw them in until they're very crispy, so it takes about 3 minutes. And there they are. After about 2.5 to 3 minutes, you see that the color is getting really nice and even and uniform. And then we're going to take them out with tongs, put them on paper towels, and season with salt and pepper. You want to make sure that they're that color. See how they're nice and golden brown? Very flavorful. So once my steak was medium rare to medium, I let it rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. And there you have it. It's on that plate. Looks very beautiful. So juicy and flavorful. Now I'm going to slice it up. You can really cut it any way you want. You don't even have to cut it. I like to slice it because it's easier to eat and it looks a little nicer. So I just separated the fat side from the leaner side, although it's all pretty fatty, it's ribeye. Then I started making slices, just to put on the plate to make it look beautiful. You can use any cut of steak you'd like, and just make sure you use a thermometer if you're worried about the temperature. I usually pull it around 120 for medium rare. It'll carry over. This is medium rare medium, and really nice and pink, cooked nice and even. And then start to plate it up on your wooden cutting board plate, or whatever plate you'd like. I was able to get the steak nice, even pink color by flipping it consistently every 2 minutes and letting it rest. And that's really all I did. So now you're going to plate up your French fries. And what I like to do is add a little parsley for color, and it adds a little freshness. I actually removed that fatty piece of steak on top to replace it for a crispy burnt end. And there you guys have it. a nice juicy grilled steak on my Lone Star Grillz. Really easy. Just took a little bit of time for those coals to burn down. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Hit that like button and stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you.